Hello everyone. Welcome to the Fireside Chats here with me in my altar room. Wanted to give you guys a little view of my altar burning tonight with all of our goodies. And then get us started on this Witch on Fireside Chat for, I believe it is April 10th. It's a Friday night here in my altar room. Got a lot of fun things going for you guys tonight. Working on completing my poppet. I gave a little view there. Wanted to just give an update on how I was tending that magic. Hi Jenny, welcome back. Just wanted to give a little view of how I was attending that magic with my poppet. Hi Ellen. Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks. You make me all warm and fuzzy inside. Well, I've been getting a lot of great suggestions from you guys. Thanks for your messages and for your PayPal donations. Every little bit warms our souls over at the Sojo because it does help while we wait for all this Small Business Association disaster relief loan business to come through. So y'all keep your magical fingers crossed, and all the good candles and mojo burning that all those applications go through without a hitch, so that we can receive back a little help from that. So thank you everyone for being with us. Hey Kelly Joe. I really love it when y'all chat amongst yourselves on the feed. And if ever you ask a question on here that I don't get to because I don't see it at that moment, once we're off the air, after it's done, I'll go back and make sure to answer individually the comments on the questions. So don't worry about that. If I miss it, I'll catch it later. Hi Allison, fancy seeing you here. All right, so tonight I wanted to catch you guys up on some of the work that we had started together in previous videos, how that associates with the moon and the lunar work that I do, how that all corresponds. Also, I had a request to, I believe was it Kelly Jo that suggested that we maybe talk about the Basim. And I thought, well, why stop there? Let's talk about all of the altar tools. I've got interesting ways that I go about doing that are suggestions I'd like to make. So anyway, I thought that we could go through that, and then there was another suggestion about how to do some home purification, home housekeeping things, and I thought, well, if we're all home and it's the perfect spring cleaning time to be doing magical plus mundane cleaning work, that we could talk about some of that and then put it in specifics to how might one clean and defend the home against illness, viruses, because wouldn't that be timely? All right, so first things first, in the beginning of the video I gave a little tour of the altar up close, but anyway, I'm going to pull my plate over and then we'll talk about some tools and things. So y'all remember my poppet friend that we made together? I want to show you how I've got her set up here. Hold on. I had my priestess crown laying on her head to continuously remind me of that duty. So check it out. All right, so what I've done after I completed her, you'll see I did a little extra stitching around the edges. I just went around with the embroidery thread one more time while I was sitting out in a sunbeam, soaking up some good solar love out there. And you'll see the little stitch I did going around. I didn't even know what I was doing, but it sort of reminds me of the rune Uruz, which is named after, I believe that's it. It's named after an oxen creature. It was very strong, and so to me it's a rune of strength, and I thought that was appropriate. I've got my Athame, which we'll talk about in a minute, and my wand crossed over. I've also got a rainbow moonstone and a labradorite on each shoulder as a reminder to me that the moon waxes and wanes, and each side of the cycle is important. And then of course my big hematite is down here. That's associated with iron and Mars and just adding that boost of strength and protection. And then, which is hard to see, but I basically peppered it with little blue calcite chips this afternoon while I was feeling a little stressed out and anxious. This to me is very much emotional, calm, and balance. And I just put a whole bunch of chips right on the plate. Oops. All right, so there's my poppet. And remember, I'm tending her for the 2 weeks until dark moon. Hey, Jana. I'm tending this poppet as a representation of me through the dark moon. I'll take it off the plate just for the moment. This plate is my altar pattern. We're going to talk about that altar tool too. But I did add a thing. So when I was doing the embroidery, remember I had done my bind rune. That's my magical signature on the, hey Christina, done my magical signature to name her as me. This afternoon I realized I wanted a boundary of protection around my heart as well, for just emotional protection during this time for myself. So I embroidered a little heart around it just as I sat in the sun, and with each jab of the pen, I projected my will for my intentions of protection into the poppet. Remember, often people talk about poppets and pens. It's not necessarily a bad thing. What it does is direct your will with steel into the poppet in a particular place. Of course, in this instance, not baneful at all. Why would I do that to myself? But I am stitching with my will a protection of my heart around there. So that, and then I decided to anoint on the heart, and this is where I'm going to give my witchy compadre Jupiter Melchizedek a little bump. He makes astrologically made beautiful magical oils, hoodoo oils, in a line called Jupiter's Juju. They're available on his Etsy store. They're also sold through the Sojourner. This happens to be his Dragon's Blood one. I wanted to show you his cool label. But a while back, he made me one that I still need a label for. So, Jupiter, if you're watching, I need me a label. But this was his Peaceful Home Blend. And so I anointed the heart area and fed my poppet today with a Peaceful Home Blend. But as, remember we were talking that when you have a poppet, you've got to feed her every day as if it's you. And so, just like we started the other day, I'm going to do a feeding for us now, just to remind that this is necessary. Sorry about all this extra stuff. I'm not so good at filming myself here. I'm going to give a little boost of the Peace Waters, reminding that this is a thing that one carries out as you go. So, may there be peace, the crown and the third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. May all that I produce be of peace, and may all wherever I go, wherever I tread, may I find peace on her feet. So that work continues. I've got the candle bits that were left from the other day also back here continuing to burn. Also note that earlier when we were doing our work and the moon was waxing, I had shown that I have both a full moon and a dark moon candle that I keep all the time. Of course, we have shifted over into waning cycle now. Hey, Lisa. So I've got my dark moon. My dark moon and waning moon candle is now burning. So I'm going to bring that up here with us. All right. So, one of the questions, oh, one more thing, follow up from the other night when we did moon water. Hey, Daphne. We made our moon water. Remember, I showed you guys how to do the floral essence preparation. That was when we were, I think, 2 days before the moon was at full peak. So I lit the roses solarized in the water out in the sun, and as it happens, a sneaky rainstorm came up. So that bowl caught some fresh rainwater. Also, I consider that a blessing because the rain, when there's thunder and lightning in Aries, is especially prized by alchemists for the progenitive powers, the ability to create, because it falls in Aries. So rainwater caught in a glass bowl, naturally out there already, was sort of a blessing. Hey, Dawn. So anyway, it also had some rainwater, fallen in Aries with lightning. That's going to have a lot of good creative power in it. I'm hoping to create some gur. Gur is the bit of globby, clear, milky substance that will form in rainwater if you let it sit for a bit. And that's the magical, creative nugget of the water. You see, we've still got our 9 moonstone chips are in there. I transferred them over. And then because this had been created with roses, I have made my label, including the note of rose and Venus. And I added 9 drops of a rose absolute oil. This then sat, and also the grape brandy as a preservative. And so it continued to charge outside, during the full moon, after that was done in my blue bottle. So I now have a Venus lunar rose water. And I thought what I could do is, since all of y'all have been so great about watching my videos and supporting us with some PayPal donations, as soon as I can, I'm going to find some smaller vessels. And remember, this can be like a mother tincture, where then it only takes 9 drops of this into another water bowl. So what I thought I might do is make some available, and maybe write everybody's name down who's made a PayPal donation during the videos, put them in a bowl or a hat, a witchy pointy hat, and then draw to see who I might send some of this magically prepared water as a thank you to you. So that has been done. Ta-da! All right. So one of the things that was asked about today is tools. The other thing was purifying the house. I thought I would just real quick speak to a quick emelk spring sort of purification technique that I've long used, and it's in one of my blogs on warding the house or spiritual protection of your home, that has been pretty popular this month because it's that time of year. And so I thought I might give a shout out to where I first learned it. If you're studying at home, because so many people who commented have said, look, I'm just getting started, I need any tips and tricks, I need to know how to get going on this thing, I recommend, it's a textbook in our classroom by Timothy Roderick. It's called Wicca, A Year and a Day, 366 Days of Spiritual Practice and the Craft of the Wise. This is the book that I first worked through with a little book study coven group that we put together. Hello, Melissa. Back in the old days. And I just wanted to show y'all, it's fun to leave notes. There's a little trail of notes for yourself. This is the first day that I did this ever in my life. And you see I put the date up there, February 2nd, 2006. It was exactly Emelk Day. And these were the Emelk lessons where he was suggesting how to go about clearing harmful energies from your house. And he divided it up differently than I do into a day for each element. I was a busy mom at home at the time, and I didn't have the ability to stop and do just one lap each on 4 days. So on one day when I had a minute, I can't remember exactly what, the kids were at, were probably at preschool or something like that. And I was just feeling awful. So I'm just going to tell a story. I was just feeling awful. You know how you get when you feel like there's just molasses in your veins instead of blood? I felt sluggish and grouchy, and like maybe I was coming down with something. I felt so bad. It was like the whole house was filled with sludge and I couldn't even move in it. But I didn't really know what, except to say that I just don't feel good when, you know, when you're a stay-at-home mom of a toddler and a baby, or however old they were. In 2006, I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it was kind of madhouse. But I was trying to be very devoted to my practice. I was trying to not get behind. And so I just said, well, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to just do the whole ritual. Now, I do it a little differently than it's in the book. I've collapsed it a little bit. But I'm here to tell you that after I did that home clearing, as he said, where I walked around with the fire and the water and the incense and the salt, and I chanted all around the perimeter of the home. With each lap, I felt better and better and better, until at the end I felt like I could fly. Whatever the sludge of that house was, the energetic sludge, it was gone. I felt amazing. The house felt amazing. Hey, Misty. So it's a practice that we recommend highly. And yeah, okay, you know exactly what I mean now. It's sludgy. When there's a lot of energetic chaos, which just happens with little people. It just happens. This is a really great practice. It's great spiritual hygiene. So here's my suggestion to collapse it down a little bit. I start at the front door. I open the front door. If there's a storm door or something like that, you know, you can leave that closed if you want, but I want the glass, I want to feel like it's open. If you want to throw the whole thing open, that's fine too. You either can use a bundle. You know, this is a white sage bundle. It doesn't have to be white sage. It can be any of the plant allies that help with purification. We love cedar. We love juniper, lavender, yerba santa, palo santo. There's a bunch of them. Or you can just use incense. I do like, rather than putting a burned incense on charcoal or something, because that can be messy and I want to draw with it, you can also use a more smoky incense stick. This is another one of those Nature brand that have got the resin on the outside. But anyway, let's see. Where's my fire? Ah, we got fire right here. First of all, you'll want to consecrate your fire candle like I showed you the other day. So I consecrate this candle as a being of fire. Powers of fire be present through this candle and burn away all that does not serve our highest good. Blessed be. I'm going to put this one in this fancy candlestick. Make me feel like Victorian era novel walking around. Plus it's got the little guard on it to keep it from wax spilling. So you've got your fire candle. You need something to burn that's either a purification herb. I love white sage, or you can use an incense. But the point here is you just want to fluff lots of smoke all over the house. If you use a banishing pentagram as you go, you get that double whammy too. So see, we got lots of good. You hold it in the flame. If it catches on fire, that's fine. Just let it burn a second. You just want to smolder. And then a banishing pentagram, pardon me. I make it a pentacle. Not that that's traditional, but I like pentacles. So it starts here at the bottom, left to me, or to you, and then you go up to spirit. So this is earth, up to spirit. So like saying, anything that's baneful down here of the spiritual realm that shouldn't be, start down here. I cast thee back up to spiritual realm. So spirit, back down, around, going clockwise, then back up to spirit again, and then I like to do a Widdershins circle around. Okay, so I start at my front door. I announce my intention. I purify my home by the powers of air and fire. And then I walk around. If I need to relight it, I can. But I go around the perimeter of the house. If I get to a window, I do another banishing pentacle. From earth to spirit. Clockwise around. Widdershins circle. That's me seeing the door locked to the baneful things. I'm flushing out anything. Now, I've always walked around the perimeter of my house clockwise. That's a building energy. Honestly, this is a purification. So actually, I know lots of people who go around Widdershins. Both of us say it works just fine. But the point is you want to cover the entire perimeter. I've always noticed that my cats, if you put a cat down in an unfamiliar place, they will always go around the perimeter clockwise first. It's like sentinel. So that's how I do it. You do it your way. But you go around. If you come to any opening in the perimeter, whether it be a window, a door, a vent, a mirror, repeat it. I purify this home by the powers of air and fire. And go all the way around. If you've got more than one floor, whenever you get to the stairs, go on up the stairs, do the whole other floor in the same flowing pattern, whether one way or the other. And then when you get back down, continue it so that you've hit the entire perimeter. This also would include fireplaces, any exterior place. Go on around until you fluffed it all the way around and your house is just fumigated. You can open each window as you go if you like. But when you get back to the front door, announce it. This home is purified and blessed, or however you want to say it, by the powers of air and fire, so mote it be. Now, the next thing you would do is similar with the salted water bowl. I like to have something that helps me dash it all around. Also, I'm going to be putting my fingers in it because I use this as an anointing. But you can use an anointing, and then you would draw again the banishing pinnacle on all the windows and over all the doors. This includes everything, closets, everything. Let's see. I typically use a feather if I want to use it as an Asperger. Hello, Kayla. So let me get one. This is a heron feather, as I do. So I would dip a little again, and I would just sprinkle it all over. As I go around the house, I sprinkle it. Now this is, I purify or I bless this home by the powers of water and earth. Because it's salted, remember? On around we go, on around we go. Every time I get to a window, a mirror, a door, I either anoint the frame itself with the tip of my finger and I draw the vanishing pentagram on it, or I just sprinkle it around. And then when I get back to the front door, this home has been purified and blessed by the powers of water and earth, so mote it be. And then that's a basic home clearing. It's 2 laps, and say that chant continuously, and you'll be building energy, but it's also an affirmation, and you're programming yourself to believe that it is true. You are truly doing something on a neurological level and on a physical level and on a metaphysical level. So those are some of my typical home clearing things. I do that whole dog and pony show maybe twice a year, but especially in the spring. Okay. Another thing I like to do while that's all happening, and I got this idea from a priest that named Chiron, whose coffee clutch I hung out with for about a year doing another book study sort of thing before I opened the store. And he suggested the white and the black candle. Oh good. I'm glad I'm hitting the good spots for you. If you want all the specifics of this written out for you, just go on my blog and do a search for warding ritual for spiritual protection of the home, and it's all laid out in there. Okay, so one of the things that Chiron told me was that when you begin the clearing part, anoint a black candle. You're going to need a black candle and a white candle. They don't have to be huge. I happen to have had these in my cupboard because whenever Halloween rolls around, y'all, hello Stephanie, honored to have you here. Whenever Halloween rolls around, you got to make sure to pick up a bunch of black candles. There'll be all over Walmart, cheap. They're for Halloween, but it's a good way to get them. So now I anoint the black candle with anything. Well, you don't have to anoint it, but I anoint all my candles. This is where we come back to Jupiter's Juju. This is my buddy Jupiter Melchizedek. He works for me at the store. He's a fantastic astrologer. He makes all of his oils according to astrology and all the good hoodoo, and he makes this dragon's blood resin oil, which is fantastic for protection. So I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to anoint around the edge of my little black candle going Wittersons. Because this candle, I set to the work of absorbing and nullifying anything in this home that would not serve our highest good. So while I'm doing the banishing, or the purifying around the edge, I'm also letting this black candle burn on my altar, or in the centermost part of my home, which is my altar. Let's let that burn to done. Then once I'm completely done with the purifying, and I close the doors and the windows, and I feel that that's good and done, and I have announced that the boundary is sealed, purified, and blessed, Then I take my white candle, and in this case, I'm going to anoint my white candle with my Peaceful Home blend by Jupiter. This time I'm going to go around clockwise because I'm going to build up a peaceful home. And I awaken you to that work. Cosmos hates a vacuum. If you take something out, you got to put something in. So magically speaking, if I do anything where I remove, I then add back in what I want. So I build a happy, peaceful home. Can be done anytime. Hey Jupiter, you hear me selling your stuff over here? I've just been pimping you out, my friend. Jupiter's Juju, available on your Etsy store. If you want to post in the comments a link to your Etsy store, that's fine by me. Otherwise, when the Sojo reopens, come and get some. So, little brief purification of the home energetically with just your standard stuff. I'd say we answer the question at least 5 times a day at the Sojourner. How do I go about using something like a bundle, or how do I smudge my home? That word doesn't even have to be used, and smudge bundles don't even have to be sage. You can use anything. Like I said, an incense stick with a really good resin on the outside. This is from Nature. Makes a nice thick smoke. Oh yeah. What I like is that you can draw with it. Right? Vanishing Pinnacle. Thank you, Jupiter, for putting your link. Oh yes, smudge it up. So called seining. All right, good stuff. I'm gonna put this back here. Keep going. And we'll move to the next bit. Okay, so altar tools. That was another question asked, especially since so many folks have asked about getting started. And I'd like to just say this up front so that everybody hears me loud and clear. In order to practice magic and witchcraft, you do not have to have tools. I know, I'm a terrible retailer, trying to tell y'all that you don't have to go buy all the expensive things. What I want you to understand is that what makes witchcraft tools what they were. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the party. The thing to remember is that the lore, the time period that we get a lot of this stuff from that we consider witchcraft today, they were using what was around the house. You also can use what is around the house. Lots of occult information, codified that stuff and became more specific, and and now it's kind of anachronistic. Your cauldron can be just like it was in the Renaissance, which was what the woman of the house had as her cook pot. That's what was on the fire cooking. If yours is a crock pot, electric, that's fine too. But anyway, I do, after all these years, happen to have the traditional witchcraft tools. And since so many ask about how to get started, I thought I'd give a little tour. Also, I consecrate and dedicate my tools to enact certain principles and ideas within Wicca specifically that I picked up from the Charge of the Goddess and my other theological work. Pardon me, I need a drink. I was talking. So I thought I would just go through that. So first of all, there's 2 layers of tools. There's your altar consecration tool. Well, there's your altar tools, I should say. Your personal working tools that are on the altar. And then there's a larger version of that, which I consider to be the grand tool, which I see as for larger work, especially if you were involving other people or you were carrying your work from a very personal, intimate setting on the altar to a larger, more grand ritual setting. So the grand tool is usually just a larger, more extravagant version of the altar tool. And I see those as an outer boundary for how the grand tool being the cauldron, the besom, the sword, and the staff, and potentially the stang. I see them as the grand tool is your outer work, how you interact with your community in your outer boundaries, and how you face outward into the world and are interconnected outwardly. I see your altar tools as a reflection of your personal work, your inner turned work, and how you you work on yourself, how you work on your connection within yourself to divinity and the elements and your own power. That being said, I'll start actually with the grand tools. I keep them on either side of my altar. I wish I had a better way of doing this without getting up showing y'all my rear end every time. But I keep them beside my altar. And what I like to do, just to remind myself that even though we talk about divinity in terms of gender sometimes, to me they're always the two who move as one. If I say goddess, you can imagine there's a slash between the two D's because they are two sides of the same force, and then they can also be individual, like facets within a greater jewel. So I remind myself that gender is a continuum, and that the goddess has within her the God. Hello, Nancy. The goddess has always within her the God has always within him the goddess, and so do we. And so I mix it up. So even though I have an altar that I like to keep the goddess and the feminine elements of water and earth on the left-hand side, I store my masculine grand tools off her side, and I store my feminine grand tools off the side of the male side of my altar. Does that make sense? I do the yin and the yang thing as a reminder all the time. So I don't currently have a staff. The coven has a staff. I have plans to make one, but I haven't yet. But I would like to show in its stead a tool called the stang. I do have that. This is still a work in progress. To me, this is another representation of the goddess and the god and how they meet, the three world model, like the world tree. What I do have on the end, so it's a branch I found one time that has a Y. That's important, it has to have a Y. Good for summoning spirits to circle, summoning goddess and god. I have a fancy thing. You're supposed to put a metal spike at the bottom, which I do not have done. I need to find me a blacksmith, I guess. But in the meantime, I found one of these things by Tiki. It's the torch stake. Screws on the bottom. It has a metal bit, so you can jab it in the ground. I would much prefer to have a nice proper blacksmithed spike at the bottom. But what this does is it represents the axis mundi, or the world tree, much as the three worlds, like a tree. So the part that goes into the ground, wherever you are, you just jab it into the ground, and then that becomes the connection to the underworld, the middle world, and the heavens, to me anyway. And it's often carried to the edge of a circle meant to summon the ancestors or other spiritual beings one is working with, or at least that's my understanding. That comes more from Robert Cochrane style traditional witchcraft rather than Wicca, but one that I like. I also often will put it in the, hello Brian, welcome to the party. I also will often use the stang at the center point of my circle, especially if I would need to have a representative of that world, and then I can hang wreaths on it and other magical workings. So that's how we've used it in the past. So rather than have a staff, I show my stang. The coven staff, however, I consecrate that. It's an element of a tool of air for us, a regular staff is. And we infuse that tool with wonderment. If you'll remember from the Charge of the Goddess, there's a line that says, "Let my worship be within the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. And therefore, let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you." To me, that's a charge of the qualities that we bring to a moment of worship within our hearts. And so when I want to symbolize that with a tool, I divided those 8 qualities by the 8 tools, 4 altar tools, 4 grand tools. So the staff, we infuse that with the power of wonderment. That's it, the airy inner mystery. And the grand tool of our great work will create within the divine mind, defending our sovereignty with strength. So we choose strength as the charge for the staff. For the sword that I use is an ancestral sword My my great grandfather was an Oddfellow down in Alabama. Oddfellow being a form of the Masons, and this was his sword. They are all based in Hermetic mysteries, same as me. So even though this is all very Christian symbolism, it is an ancestral sword for me, and so this is my personal sword. And the sword is a grand tool of fire. It channels the inner mystery of fire, which is surrender. In this grand tool of fire, our great work will create an alignment with highest divine will, defending our sovereignty with honor. So honor is the charge that the sword bears for me. The grand tool of earth is the Basem. This Basem I made at one of our Letha Sabbats as part of our Coven's fun one year. The handle has some inscriptions in oak leaves, or not inscriptions, but in carvings and oak and acorns. This was actually made by a former staff member of ours, and then he left it at the store and didn't want it back, and so I used it for the broom when I made a new one, because I donated my original Basem to the Coven when we covened. And this is broom corn, bound in some leather, heron feather, and some beadwork to show elemental correspondences to me. But the Basem is considered it represents the liminal between worlds. It's also, if it's constructed according to the lore that I use anyway, the handle, the bristles, this is like the god and this is like the goddess. And where the two are joined together in the middle, in those bindings, we have an acorn. And that's the middle world, or the seed of potential, where the two who move as one intersect. So it's kind of a sexual symbol also, but it's the manifestation. And so we use this as a representation of the boundaries between the worlds, as a means of jumping between worlds. We jump the Basem as we're going between aspects of our lives. So on the Basem, the grand tool of earth, so it channels resonance, the inner mystery of earth. Our great work will create with perfect divine trust, defending our sovereignty with reverence. So reverence is the charge of the Basem for me. And then the good old cauldron. This cast iron cauldron happens to have been one of my, I think, great grandmothers, possibly great. When I asked my grandmother if I could have it, she goes, "What, my granny's old kettle?" So I guess that means it was her grandmother and my great-great-grandmother, but there was a whole collection of them. I use it for all manner of things. Cauldrons are great. They tend to have 3 little feet and a handle. This one does not have a lid, unfortunately, but it's cast iron and it's good for all my work. So the cauldron has the inner mystery of water, which is acceptance. The grand tool of our great work will create with perfect divine love, defending our sovereignty with compassion. Compassion is the charge of the cauldron to me. And then for the altar tools, the wand, the element of air, is channeled by the wand. This is made of curly willow, of a tree I planted and grew myself, harvested myself. The wand is typically about the length of your inner elbow to the tip of your finger. Made myself. We see the altar tools as channeling the outer, the projective mysteries of each element. So I see this as my tool of knowledge or knowing. With this wand, I will inspirit my magic, casting enchantment with mirth. So mirth is the charge that I believe the wand channels. The athame is my tool of fire. I like this one especially because it has a antler handle, and I see it being the most masculine of all of my tools, and I love the connections to the horned god and the God of the Wild Wood and Animal Lord mystery. I like it to be steel. I think athames can be many things, but I have seen some interesting mishaps when there is not steel meant. And steel is what banishes enchantment. And so when you need to cut between worlds or otherwise banish or repel a spiritual entity that you do not want to be present, iron is mighty handy in steel. So athame to me has the power of the will. With this blade, I empower my magic, banishing fear with humility. So I think humility is the charge that goes with the athame. The chalice is the priestess's tool, the altar tool of water. Daring is its mystery. We'll cultivate our magic, creating blessings with beauty. So beauty, my chalice. Again, inherited from my grandmother Frances. I have many things inherited from my mothers on my altar and fathers. The paten is the altar tool of earth. I've shown that previously. It is any pentacle. It can be painted on a plate like I did this one. He's a little busy right now. She's busy. I painted that at one of those paint your own pottery places. It could also be open work. I have another altar paten that I wanted to show. You see this wreath here with the pinnacle. Sometimes the pinnacle is, like on the wall. It's considered a portal to elemental earth. I prefer mine to be a plate. So it channels the powers of silence of earth. And with my paten, I manifest my magic empowered by nature's balance. So I choose balance as the charge of the paten. So those are my tools and what I think they bring. That those connections are ones that were an inspiration in my own work. I'm including them in the book that I'm writing. In case you're wondering, all of that will be in there because it's on elemental magic, the one that I'm trying to do second edits to now. And since elemental magic is so intimately linked with the tools, I've included some information on how to consecrate your tools. So, but I just still want to follow it up, preface and conclusion. In order to practice magic, you do not have to have all these things. And remember that they were things that were just around the house back when this practice was beginning, where we draw the lore. So you can also use what's just around the house. It doesn't have to come from a metaphysical store. I do recommend going to antique stores, family heirlooms, that sort of thing. All right. How y'all doing out there on this waning moon night? The moon is waning in Sagittarius, so we have a fire moon and a fire sun right now. Hope the home fires are burning brightly. I'll put these back over here. Okay. One of the other things that I wanted to do tonight to talk about was some other home protection clearing magics that one could do. And I thought first of 4 thieves oil. Now I make a 5 thieves oil. I do a lot with this in my house for cleaning purposes. I don't really care for the over-the-counter, like regular old Clorox sprays most of the time, though I will admit I'm using a whole lot of Lysol and Clorox these days. What I normally do is make my own homemade household materials, household cleaning products. One of those I have used 4 thieves in because we had a mishap with our sink drain line going into a duct, which caused a mold problem in the house at one point. Just a little fuzzy green mold because it's just too humid in here. Got that all fixed, but I had to continuously clean and whatnot for a little while. So I'm very sensitive to that, and one of the things that helps to kill off mold spores is 4 thieves oil. The 4 thieves, this is my cleaning spray. So this is where I'm going to pimp Laura Tempa Zakroff's Sigil Witchery book, which I'll go grab off the shelf and show you the cover. She also posted on her blog this immunity boosting sigil designed specifically for this COVID-19 pandemic as a protection sigil against the virus. And so I've been putting it on everything, as do most of the witches I know, because why wouldn't you? For example, if y'all read my blog about elderberry syrup, I put that on there as soon as I made it. Now, elderberry syrup, we find out, isn't all that great if you get sick with COVID-19, but it sure is good for immune boosting if you're not sick. And I just would like to point out that if you happen to have the little Skull shot glasses from Skull Vodka, little acrylic ones, I got a whole bunch of these. If you leave your honey elderberry syrup in the refrigerator after a little while, it kind of takes on a gelatinous, very blood-like quality, which makes it especially fun to drink your immune boosting blood red potion out of the skull. So, you know, out of the skulls of my enemies. I don't know. To your good health. Best way to drink an immune booster is out of a skull. So, I just thought I'd point out the reason why we call this oil blend for thieves. There's a legend, and I don't know how true it is. Everybody tells this legend that back in the plague, there were some grave robbers, and they could pillage these dead bodies from the plague and not get sick, and they got caught, and the authorities wanted to know how in the world they were able to do that without getting sick. And apparently they had been putting over their faces, because the smell was so bad, things that smelled good to them. The legend is that they were cinnamon, clove, orange, or lemon, and rosemary, and that would, hey Nancy, and that would make it smell better, but that it actually was, you know, aromatherapy, aromatically giving them antiviral boost while they were doing that. And so supposedly they bartered their freedom for that bit of lore. What we do know now is that, especially if you use the essential oils of these these plant materials, that they do have some antiviral properties and can help, especially if diffused in the air or used another healing way. And of course, they've been used magically that way because of their planetary associations. So I thought I'd just go through what my 5 of these are. Mind you, I get organic essential oils. I like Star West. We sell them at the Sojo. They are Courtney approved. Courtney, you know, as being our manager and our herbalist. And if Courtney approves, you know it's good stuff. So I got a little bit of each of those. And then in a larger bottle, I put about half of each one of these little bottles. And I have 5. Sometimes I'll add a 6th one, but I like 5 for my pinnacle because, you know, I'm sort of obsessed by that. Anyway, what's in here is cinnamon, clove, rosemary, lemon, and eucalyptus. So here are some of their properties. Now this is where I'm going to pimp out my friend Amy Blackthorn's book. Amy Blackthorn's Botanical Magic, a Green Witch's Guide to Essential Oils for Spellcraft, Ritual, and Healing. Can't recommend it enough. Great stuff. If you want to know more about essential oils and how to use them for magic, there's so many good tips and tricks in here, and it's also alphabetical. Lots of great recipes and stuff. So I hit that up to see what she had to say. So cinnamon, our good old friend cinnamon, associated with fire and the planet sun, planetary sun, solar magic. Great, used for health, love, prosperity, associated with sign Leo, and sacred to the goddess Aphrodite. So hail Aphrodite. Cinnamon is used for consecration, purification, sanctification, natural pesticide. Oh, sorry, Amy Blackthorn. Amy Blackthorn. Good. Yep, I see her at Mystic South too. Been to Amy's one class anyway, and I hope to hit more. Her work is great, and she's funny. All right, so she's got a lot of lore about how cinnamon's been used all the way back through ancient cultures for sanctification of temple spaces and of the body, purification, consecration. It's even a natural pesticide. So that's cinnamon. Clove, fire, the planet Jupiter, also Uranus. So there's some modern conflicting information where Uranus air associations as opposed to fire, but all good stuff. Zodiac is Sagittarius. It's great for healing, courage, protection, purification, blessing, among other things. Rosemary, associated with fire and the sun, good for purification, mental clarity, bringing confidence and good luck, and it's associated with Leo. Bring a little lions to the party. Lemon, water, the moon, sign of Cancer, brings emotional clarity, calm, love, purification of baneful emotions. Very helpful, I think. Eucalyptus, also water and earth, sign of Cancer. Protection, banishing, purifying, healing, brings both mental and physical well-being. And Amy talks about how eucalyptus branches can be crossed over the doorways to act as a charm against disease. And medicinally can help to reduce fatigue and also aids the respiratory system. So if you've got a respiratory virus running around, but I'd say eucalyptus is a witch's friend. I also sometimes add tea tree if I want a sixth friend because of all of its antimicrobial properties. But for this one, I just have the 5. So what I did for a household cleaning spray, it's at least 60% alcohol. If you can find it, I happen to have stocked up with like 4 or 5 bottles right before all this crazy mess hit. But right now I'm using a lot of alcohol. The rest I'll add some water. If I want to make it like a cleaning spray to clean the counters or something, I'll probably add a teaspoon, not much more of that, of like a Dawn washing liquid just to make it slightly soapy. I do think there's some eucalyptus and Vicks Vapor Rub, but that's mostly mentholatum, something like that also. But just as a boost to this one, and I just got this bottle, I think at Lowe's. It's just a general spray bottle. Now mind you, these are our plant friends, but you got to wake them up. So ping, the energetic ping, where I push my consciousness out to meet them. Powers of cinnamon and of clove, of eucalyptus, lemon, and rosemary. Bring your powers of watery purification, but also fire and courage and boldness and protection from disease. Bring your goodness to this cleaning party. That was a whole dropper full. Guess it could be more if we wanted. And now I use it as a counter spray, cleaning. I wipe down the cabinets, anything. Just a good cleaning spray. And of course I add Laura's sigil to it. Also thought I'd bring up that I was making my own hand sanitizer. Similar properties. I happen to have this bottle. It's green. I like that. I happen to have at the time had a little bit of aloe vera gel left over from the summer, you know, like you put on a sunburn. But when that ran out, I did have aloe vera liquid, and I will say it does help with the moisturizing. It doesn't have to be thick. But what I did with that, I followed all the other instructions on the internet about how to have at least 60% of the alcohol. And since this is only 70% isopropyl alcohol, you have to add even more alcohol than water. So there's no water in my hand sanitizer. It's mostly alcohol, with maybe 1/4 of that being an aloe vera liquid. I did happen to add some really nice Florida water that I had made by Matthew Venus. Florida water is a distillation of a number of flowers and fruits in alcohol also, so I kind of included that in my alcohol portion. But that brings a lovely scent, but also a magical oomph to it as well. That's from Spiritus Arcanum. Good stuff. And then I added a significant amount of my 4 Thieves. I started with just clove because that's what I had at the time, and then when I got all this done, I added some of my my 4 Thieves to my hand sanitizer, and I gotta tell you, I've been using this stuff like crazy, and my hands, which are normally ashy, dry, because of all that aloe vera liquid in there, they're fine. It smells great, and I feel very magical I feel very protected with my hand sanitizer. So that's another way. And then I had one more little trick I thought I'd tell. Let's see what time it is. All right. I'm already over time. So one more quick trick. And I got this from Miles Batty in his book, Teaching Witchcraft. But I'm adapting it. Okay. So I have me a little bowl. Right? Here, let's move this. Have me a little bowl. And I'm going to add some vegetable glycerin. I'm going to make this kind of like a magical paint. I'm going to add a little bit of my Four Thieves oil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know what? Let me some 3s and 9s. And I know I keep going on and on about this. This is garnet granules. Garnet, great for many things. Very root chakra. Among them, exorcism, protection, courage, strength, sexiness, lust, many fine things from a garnet stone. But because it's very root chakra, and I'm trying to protect the very earthy physical things, including my body, from illness, I'm going to add some garnet granule to my wee bowl. Awaken garnet. Just a dash. I believe that in Miles Batty's book, Teaching Witchcraft, he was talking about making a protection gel that was then be painted on the door, and he used, I believe, sandalwood powder. I try not to use sandalwood because it's endangered, but if you remember, we kept talking about our fire blend of incense having all that good stuff that was associated with Mars and courage, and I happen to have that right here. So my previously charged fire blend, I posted a blog with all that recipe on it the other day, and we'll put just a little bit of that in there, which brings all that powdered cinnamon and clove again, dragon's blood, oak wood, tangerine, ginger, and bay. Fiery Mars couragey stuff. And I have a paintbrush. And I'm just going to stir it around and make a kind of sludgy paste. Funny, I just got a phone call in the middle of all this. That's interesting. So, now that I have this, I charge this glycerin, garnet, fiery blend to protect wherever it is inscribed from illness, from harm, banish all that would not serve our highest good. So mote it be. I draw a banishing pentagram also in the stuff. And now, as an example, I'm going to just paint it on something, and then you can see that it'll kind of just, the glycerin will dry clear, and it'll leave the impression of the stuff. So let's see, what are we going to draw it on? I didn't think this through all the way. How about I draw it on the back side of my elderberry drawer? That'll be a test. So I'm going to draw this sigil. You could do just a banishing pentagram, or you could do anything for this. So here's how I'm going to do it. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to see through that. Draw the pentagram. And then the moon and the swirls. Wherever you draw this now, it could be your front door. It's going to be impossible to see on there. But there's just the sigil itself is just a little bit sparkly with the granules and the dust, but it'll help to adhere it to wherever it is painted. Yeah, we could do it on paper. Let's see. See what I got. The trick being that it could be kind of clandestine on something. This is a good idea for Miles, I think. He's recently moved back to Scotland, but he was here in Charlotte when I knew him the best. Ooh, my candle's going crazy back there. All right. Haha, very good. There we go. So I think I'm going to paint this on my doors and on my windows on the outside, just small. And then once the glycerin dries, it would just be the faint outline of the herbs and the stones. So those are some ideas. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. These have been a lot of fun. Like I said, if I missed any of your questions or comments while I was yammering on, after the video is posted, I'll go back and look and answer anything specifically there. Do appreciate you participating. And just as an update on the store, the city shelter-in-place order closes or stops as of tomorrow, but the state is still in place until the 30th, though the state mandate would allow us to do curbside pickup. So I believe that Courtney is working on some order sheets so that we can post them kind of like PDFs that will give you a list of everything, like you could check it off or see prices. And then you could send us a photograph or some such of the order sheets. We could then send you a PayPal invoice with the specifics so you can pay for it that way, and then we'd have available for pickup. We're planning to reopen, I believe, on the 15th. That's a Wednesday. I think it's the 15th, but it'll be next Wednesday. We're going to be doing reduced hours Wednesday through Saturday, 12 to 6, for just call in or email in and curbside pick up some orders. And then hopefully after the 30th, we'll be able to reopen with a minimum of 5 people in the store. That's the state allows you to have, I think, 5% of your fire capacity, or 5 people for 1,000 square feet of retail space. So anyway, it comes to about 5. And so we're going to just limit the people who can come in after that, and we'll see what happens with this thing. If you can make a donation, if you found something of value here that was useful to you and you can make a donation to the store, I encourage you to PayPal that to orders@thesojo.com. Also, our teespring.com t-shirt fundraiser is still going at the Sojourner Tees. Those links are all on the Witch on Fire page, as well as the Sojourner Clubhouse. I'm very grateful for everyone being here and for putting up with me for a whole hour. Blessed be. How did that happen? Until next time, which will be Sunday, be well, namaste, away at a safe distance, and y'all be healthy. Bye.